Hello everyone, this is my Volkswagen ID.7 Pro and I have this car for over 3 weeks and 3,600 kilometers I have driven, and today is time to talk about what I like and dislike about this car.
3, 2, 1.
If you want to follow me on Instagram, BatteryLife1, and want to thank my supporters on Patreon and here on YouTube via channel membership. So I owned a Volkswagen ID.3 before this, so the step for me that is different and new and exciting, of course, from the ID.3 to the ID.7 is different than it was from my old crappy ice car to the ID.3, where it was just, oh my god. But still there's a lot of difference and I can still enjoy a lot of things in this car. Let's start with the likes. Number one is the driving. This car does exactly what I wanted from it. It does it amazingly perfect. It's the comfort drive. The suspension is extremely comfortable. The steering is precise and comfortable, so it doesn't steer in some way. And it's extremely quiet in there. I have the exterior package plus where the side windows have double glass, so it's even quieter. When I start driving, I don't hear the pedestrian warning sound, and for me that's just amazing. It's just a thought, hey, it's true. It's so quiet that I don't even hear that. It's really as I wanted to. There's so many automatic functions. The memory seats I didn't have before. The massage seats, the massaging is amazing. The seat heater is amazingly hot. The comfortableness of the climate works very well. I enjoy it immensely how comfortable. I'm getting sprayed here. Just how comfortable it is, and that's just the pure joy of driving. I loved my ID.3. It was also very comfortable and amazing, but this just takes it a step further, and I enjoy it immensely on every journey, even if it's just a few kilometers. I love it. The next thing which is important to me and I enjoy it immensely is something I didn't have in my ID.3 is travel assist, the self-steering. I'd have it on the country road, on the highway all the time. Normally I had just adaptive cruise control on, so it keeps the distance. I have it in eco, so it doesn't accelerate very hard, it doesn't slow down very hard, so it's very comfortable. And I have it in here too, but here I have the self-steering on as well. When we go to work, the second I'm on the country road, I have it on till we get off the country road. On the highway, always have it on. For me, it's a safety thing that it keeps me in the middle. If for a second I look somewhere else, it's fine, and it's also just comfortable. And the good thing about this travel assist, the self-steering in this car, is that I don't have to steer, that it notices that I'm there. It's just a light touch on the steering wheel, and it does it in my comfortable position that I like. So I don't have to be like this or a hard grip. I just slightly touch it. It never complains that, hey, you don't have your hands on the steering wheel, what's going on? Amazing. And I can just turn it on and off on the steering wheel. It has the auto lane changer on the highway. I just tap and then it does it itself. But this function that's not so comfortable, so I rarely use it. If you use the full blinker, not just the tap, it doesn't do it. You can turn it off in the infotainment system. I have it on and I use it sometimes, but sometimes I would do it in a different way, because sometimes it drives off a bit fast because it wants to keep distance and everything, but it's fine. So it's great that it's there, but for me it's not the most important. It's the travel assist that does it just amazingly well. Yeah, I'm in this weird position because it's snowing. I don't want the camera to get wet, so I'm half under here, and so I'm a bit in the dark. I'm sorry. The next thing is ID software 4.0. Volkswagen always had the opinions of a lot of people saying that the software is crap, and a lot of people don't like the infotainment system. In the first few months, yes, the software had a lot of errors, and then even with 2.3, with 2.3 I was lucky and I was okay, but with 2.4 there were tiny errors, but I heard a lot of people that had big problems. I never had big problem except for the first 3 months, then I was okay. But ID software 4.0 in this car with the new hardware is totally different. I showed it already in other videos. It starts extremely fast, so even if the car is parked for a day, I unlock it, I get in 5 seconds. I have the screen there, it's less than 5 seconds, and I drive and I can get into my climate very fast in 10 seconds. And a lot of people say, hey, 10 seconds, and a few cars can do that very fast, but there are many other cars. I have tested many cars where getting in after a day of parking, where the infotainment system has to start up, and it takes 10, 15, 20 seconds. And in my old ID.3, it happened so many times that it took 30 seconds till I get to the infotainment, to the climate. And the worst part was in the old cars that when I drove a bit, got out of the car just for 2 minutes, came back in, it restarted again. And the new climate buttons, the climate is always underneath, the seat heating is right there. It makes it so much easier. The battery heating button, it's awesome for me for testing. So when I'm saying, hey, I want to charge and I want the battery to be hot, I press a button or I navigate to a charger. It does that. I don't have to rely on giving a lot of power and braking and doing that for 20 minutes, which is uncomfortable and nauseating after a while. I love that I have this feature, and I did my 1,000-kilometer drive. Video is here where it just did it itself and gradually heated the battery for the next charging session. It worked perfectly. This charge is amazing. This is the next point. 192 kilowatt. I want to try it on a Tesla supercharger version 3 because it maxed out Ionity and the CCS standard with 500 amp. And I want to see if I do this on a Tesla supercharger, if I get a higher charging power. I doubt it, but I want to see if this is working maybe. But 192 kilowatt peak and then slowly going down at 100 kilowatts, still at 64%, which is amazing. So doing long distance trip with this car is just top. The consumption overall is okay with me not having a heat pump in the winter. I was expecting a bit more. I said it in a few videos already, but it's better than my ID.3, which was a smaller car and lighter car, 360 kilograms lighter. The new e-route planner is amazing, where in the old software it just went with the range and calculated the charging stops. Now it knows you're on the highway, you have the heat on, you drive 130 usually on the highway and stuff like this. And if it goes uphill or downhill, it calculates the charger and at what state of charge you arrive at the charger. And of course, arriving at the charger at a certain state of charge or kilometers of range left is not perfect, and it wasn't perfect in a better route planner that I used a few times before, because there are other components that happens when it comes to there's more rain, there's traffic, you have to accelerate a few times. This is all stuff that the car or software cannot know, and so but it still works great. They just have to change how to configure what charger you want to use, so how many stalls and what power, then it would be even better. But already now it's pretty great. What makes my wife very happy and therefore makes me happy are the new seats. She loves the new seats in Walter, our ID.3. She hated the seats. She's very short, and so the legs are short, and then this part here was in Walter pretty hard, and so her knees were here and her legs were in a weird position, so she needed a pillow in the back and underneath. And then of course the seat heating didn't work very well, and she didn't like the seat heater even without the pillows, and now she loves the seat heating in here. She loves the seats. We have electric seats that we didn't have in Walter. This is all stuff we didn't have. She doesn't care about the massage function. I do. I love it. Something that surprised me immensely about this car is that I thought it's gigantic. so I will have trouble to park in our garage, to get out. I had other cars, even not big, there's big cars as the ID.7, where getting out of the garage and then there's a car parked beside and they have to get out and then there's not a lot of space. So turning circle is important, and they have to and seeing where you are in the rear and in the front and everything, and it can be annoying. And I thought this would be the same with this. This is 70 centimeters longer than my ID.3 was, but it works really well in parking spots. When I have to turn around somewhere, I almost don't notice a difference to my ID.3. Of course, ID.3 was better, but it's still amazing, and it's still way better than most other cars that I have tested. So I'm totally surprised and happy. But now it's time. Let's talk about the things I do not like about my ID.7. And number one is something that's missing that my ID.3 had and that ID.4 and ID.5, even with ID software 4.0 and the new hardware, will have, but the ID.7 won't. All other ID cars have a cockpit on the steering wheel that has more information than what I have in the ID.7. My cockpit is very small, just shows the normal information, no navigation, no driving data, and especially the driving data I love to have in my cockpit. And this the ID.7 won't have, but the other cars have. I missed that a bit, but I enjoy the head-up display. The next are two things here in the back. First, the backup camera. In the ID.3, this was nicely locked away, so it never got dirty. It's not horrible. I still have something to spray it, and it works really well, by the way. And the other thing is the plastic, the see-through transparent plastic thing above this light thing here that goes from left to right. It looks great when it's driving. This transparent thing gets very dirty, and then it looks a bit cheap. It looks like there's something wrong with it, that it's dirty inside. It's not, but I don't know. It makes it look a bit cheap in the rear. And now the big question that a lot of ID drivers or former ID drivers have is, do we have problems with the software? ID software 4.0, do you have error messages? Are there any problems? Is something not working? And the answer is, there are things that are not working perfectly, but it's minor things. Overall, I don't have any error messages. I didn't have any crashes. I didn't have any problems with it. I have two things. Is it two things? I have two things that are not working perfectly as they should, and there's one thing that's annoying about the software. One that's not working, it's in the massage seats. When I have intensity on full, it doesn't massage at the time that I set. I can set it to 10, 20 or 30 minutes. It just does it for a minute. If I have intensity on half, it works. So that's, I'm guessing, a software problem. Number two is I have configured my home screen, and everything is the same every time I get into the car except for one button. I have one button where I saved the sound profile. I'm not using it. I just thought, I don't know what else I would put in there, because I have so many buttons that I can configure that everything is there, but I put sound profile in there. But if it stands for a while and I get in, this is gone. I can't do it again. I'm doing it, but I did it a few times to see what's going on. So that's not a big deal, but it doesn't affect me, but I don't know why it does that. And the thing that annoys me, and I said it already in a different video, is the resetting of a view of a window that you have. So if you are in your main screen and you have more windows that you can swipe up, and then you go into something, come back, you are again in the first window all the time. And also in other pages. Always when you go into this, you're on page 1. And even though a second ago you were on page 3 or something. And I would love if it would remember that where I was and keep it the way that it was before. So as you can see, I'm extremely happy with this car, and I'm sorry I cannot report issues, things that are not working or are weird. I'm happy that it doesn't work. I hope it doesn't get boring that everything works. I just noticed that the car is exactly what I wanted as an upgrade from the ID.3. Everything the car said it would deliver, it did to me, what I wanted. I always said I don't need the size of this car. It's the back seats have a lot of space that I don't need, and the trunk is extremely big. Sometimes I need the trunk space and I'm happy about it, but the space in the rear seats I don't need. I never transport grown-ups in the rear or anything else. I don't need, like I said, extreme big trunk space. I don't need a frunk. A lot of people complain that ID cars don't have a frunk. I don't need it. I had cars as test cars with a frunk. There was a charging cable in there and that's it. I would never put something in because usually you don't have a button to open the frunk here. You have it inside the car or the app. And why do I need something? If you have it on the key, we can talk about it. Some cars have that. That's okay. With the key, when I can press a button and the frunk opens, that's okay. But still, I don't know what to put in. I have enough space anyways, and I had enough space with the ID.3, so I'm happy. I'm enjoying the head-up display. The augmented reality part is amazing. Yes. I'm very happy. I'm sorry I'm not disappointed because a lot of people expect that from Volkswagen. That doesn't make me, by the way, a Volkswagen fanboy. I know the negatives of Volkswagen and I know things that are missing still in here. I said it all the time. I'm still missing that in the app. I cannot lock or close, lock or unlock the car or open the trunk in the app. I would love to do that. To see that and if it's working, and I would love if I would see the position of the car while it's driving, not just when it's parked. But there's just way less problems or negative things in this car than in my ID.3. I'm sorry. It's awesome. I love it. The other thing is power. Yes, I would have loved an all-wheel drive version. The GTX of this car will come out at some point with 40 kilowatt more, but it will also cost more. And then, or should it be a different car with 400 above horsepower? I enjoy that when I have a test car with 400 horsepower. I enjoy it. I enjoy the power. It makes me feel good. That's true. But I have the problem when I have a car with a lot of power. I use the power, consumption goes up, and I also overtake on spots where I wouldn't do it with a different car with less power. And for my safety and also it makes me a bit come on, go. I wouldn't say road rage, but just come on, I can pass you, give me a chance. And with this car I have it less because I can't do it. 286 horsepower is not nothing, but it's also not extremely powerful, and it's enough for me. When I tested the ID.4 with the 150 kilowatt, 204 horsepower motor, it's a bit weak, and that would not be enough for me. But this, with this power, it's fine. Also, what I said, consumption and range. I was a bit disappointed with this car with the 130 kilometers an hour range test, only 304 kilometers. But the heat was a big part. In this car, I ordered it without a heat pump. First of all, it was 1,000 euros to get a heat pump. And second of all, back then I thought if I order it with a heat pump, I would get it so late I won't get German incentives. But now, Volkswagen, if you order it now, till the end of March, you get the incentives paid by Volkswagen. So 4,800 or 760 euros from Volkswagen, not from the German government. But I didn't know that back then. And again, it's 1,000 euros for a heat pump for a bit less consumption, a bit more range, and it's still more less consumption and of course more range, but less consumption than my ID.3 was. And ID.3 is 360 kilograms lighter, but with this new motor and the new front, how the car is shaped, the consumption was just higher in the same, almost the same conditions, and that's why it makes me happy. And charging is just way better. I'm sorry. I don't know why I apologize for liking a car that I bought, and I'm happy, and I cannot report big problems with it or big things that I don't like about it. I drove an ID car for 3 years, and now this is the next, so I knew what I was going in, but there's so much better than I thought it would be. But that's it for me. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great day and take care. Bye.